One more round to go in the European Endurance Prototype Cup to determine both the LMP3 and the MP2 Drivers' Championships. You join us just as the first laps of qualifying are being completed, and this is a very important day for the two Virage teammates who are going for the LMP3 Championship and for the two Graf Racing teammates who are going for the MP2 Championship. And a flurry of cars, 33 prototypes that will do battle in the 4 hours of Paul Ricard this afternoon. 21 of the Nova MP2 machines and 12 LMP3 machines, with a mixture of 8 Ligier, 2 Duqueine and 2 Ginettas as well. And as you can see, it's a very busy and a very wet track out there. Not the conditions that we were expecting to see throughout the weekend. All the weather apps have been telling us it's going to be clear blue skies and 0% chance of rain. Well, we've got the exact opposite with a very overcast circuit, Paul Ricard, and a very wet track as well. The GT drivers have just been out for one of their sprint races, and they've been reporting back that the track is dry, but it's in that horrible in-between phase where the wet tyres are going to be overheating slightly, and the slicks, well, you'll just slide right off the road. So, who's going to find the best of the conditions out there? That is the question. So 11 minutes left in this Q1 session. It is 3 qualifying sessions that will set the grid. It's the average of the 3 that will determine the grid. So the majority of the teams running 3 driver lineups, and so that is simple enough to work out. But for the 2 driver crews, one of them has got to do 2 sessions, and it cannot be a silver class driver that does 2 of them. And also a driver cannot do back-to-back sessions. So if you are, for example, the championship contending Graf Racing crew of James Winslow, who's rated silver, and John Corbett, who's rated bronze, then it's John Corbett in for this Q1 session, James Winslow in for the second, and then John Corbett again for Q3. Here's a look at the TS Course Duqueine, though. Another new pairing of drivers joining the Australian Nathan Kumar aboard the Italian car. Francesco Simonazzi returning to the car, and in fact getting his first laps of the weekend. He's been sitting exams this week, and so hasn't been taking part in the 2 free practice sessions. And I'll just look to see, actually. It's Nathan Kumar, the bronze driver, in for this session. But we will also see out later Robert Visoyu, a driver we haven't heard from in 7 years since he retired from racing at the end of his Formula 2 campaign in 2017, and is now maybe looking for a return to action. But for now, it's Nathan Kumar, the Australian and former radical racer down under, who is at the wheel of the car. But first lap time starters come in. Karen Gaillard, provisionally fastest for the ANS Motorsports crew in her Nova, the number 71 car, and Ilya Earhart in the number 64 Racing Spirit of Le Mans. Ligier, fastest of the LMP3 cars, only 3/10 between them. Jacques Wolf also out there in the sister Racing Spirit of Le Mans car, but the Nova. George King in a 4th Graf car for the weekend. They are very busy this weekend, so an additional entry from the number 39 crew with George King back. Louis Rossi returning to the championship after his horror crash in the road to Le Mans, and Remy de Gouffroy moving over there, because it is Gaël Julien, the European Le Mans Series LMP3 champion, who's joined the number 9 crew that is going for the championship. So Gaël Julien with a bit of pressure there to try and help Eric Trullet and Luis San Juan bring home the Drivers' Championship in MP2. Pedro Perino, unsurprisingly, going fastest, one of the fastest drivers in the field, the silver-graded driver for Inter-Europol competition, the car that won in LMP3 last time out in a very wet and very dark Manicourt. Kevin Rabin also one of the most rapid drivers out there in the number 8 Graf car. Currently second fastest, but 0.8 of a second between them. Fastest first sector going to Kevin Rabin, though. And in fact, here is that number 8 black and blue machine. That is not in the title fight. It's the sister cars, the 7 and the 9, that are 1-2 in the MP2 standings. and separated by just 4 points. Oh, 5 points, sorry. 71 points for Luis San Juan and Eric Trulé, 66 for James Winslow. So here is Pedro Perino, who is fastest at the moment for Inter-Europol competition. The Mozambican Portuguese 19-year-old, who's still in his very early days of prototype racing, only his second year. And his first year with the Polish outfit, having raced with DKR last year. Just moving past the writer engineering Ligier into Le Bousset. Writer engineering, the German outfit back with us. See the Racing Spirit of Le Mans team watching on. See Jacques Wolf and Ilya Earhart out there at the moment. Still third fastest of the LMP3 runners. So a 2:17.2 is the time to beat. At the moment, and Perino starts another lap there, sort of backed out at the end of that one, after being a little bit compromised by the Writer engineering car behind him. In terms of the championship contenders, Axel Noss in the #1 Team Virage cars taking the wheel for this first session, so it's silver graded driver, currently 10th fastest and 4th of the LMP3 runners. And the Sister 88 car is being driven by Daniel Macia, the Spaniard, who's currently 19th fastest, and then in MP02 John Corbett, obviously at the wheel of the #7, and in the #9 that I'm trying to find on timing and scoring is Eric Trulé. But while I was talking about that, I had a couple of fastest laps. So Daniel Macy, who I was just talking about, went fastest, but then Marius Fossard in the #42 Team Virage Ligier, also an extra car for this weekend, former midget racer and Le Mans Cup racer for this year, fastest. And they have also an extra driver for this weekend, which is Hayden Chance, the reigning Ligier European Series champion, the 18-year-old Brit, alongside Paris Strafakidis, their bronze driver. Well, let's take a look at George King here, having a big swapper through Scene Corner, and that certainly would have raised the heartbeat a little bit if he wasn't awake and alert just yet. He certainly will be now. See, the sun has started to poke through the clouds here in Le Castellet, and as I look out the window I can see a small patch of blue sky now at George King there, the #39 car, just running the factory livery on from Nova, because it's just a rental for the weekend. Alongside their 3 full season entries, and of course Graf also fielding a Formula Cup car as well, so very busy down there in the garage at the moment. But this is that additional car for Team Virage. They've entered a 3rd car for this weekend, the 42 car that was fastest at the hands of Marius Fossard, but now Pedro Perino has taken back the best time. So we're down into the 2:15s now, 2:15.989 for the Inter-Europol competition driver. And surprisingly, it's the LMP3 cars that have been setting the quick times at the moment, because normally in the wet conditions we see the lighter Nova really start to stretch its legs. But there you can see it's just 12 degrees out there at the moment. It's a very damp and very cold day, but it's Pedro Perino, Marius Fossard and Daniel Macia into Europol from 2 Team Virage cars in the top 3 overall and in LMP3 as it stands. And in fact, the two Team Virage cars running line astern on the racetrack as well. Only 3 minutes left to go in this session. Quentin Antonell is fastest of the MP2 runners in the Lamo Racing 777 car, ahead of Thomas Imborg for CD Sports. Of course, car that had rather dominated proceedings in Magny-Cours and then ran out of fuel on the penultimate lap of the race. Then it's George King in the Graf car, number 39, Eric Truley, the sister number 9 car, and then Kevin Rabin in the sister number 8 car, Karen Gard and Danny Bunchu. Or in fact, Marlon Hernandez has just usurped Danny Bunchu. Marlon Hernandez in the 154 car, who we saw out in GT Endurance in Magny-Cours. The Carrera Cup France racer, the silver-graded driver, sharing that Kokomo Nova with Jesse Bouhet, the bronze driver, and Johan Roussel, the former rally driver. And in fact, there he is now. That rather smart blue and red machine. Oh, excuse me, that's Quentin Antonell. Sorry, the Lamo car, the 777. Quentin Antonell, the former GT Cup and Super Trofeo racer that he's been doing this year. Fastest of the MPO2 runners as it stands. ANS Motorsport getting ready. Paul Trajani getting ready to do his first qualifying session in a Nova for ANS Motorsport. And double checking which car he's actually in, because we're used to seeing Paul out in the LMP3 car that he's shared with Julien Lemoine most of the season, riding in the number 72 car. So 72 at the moment is Erwin Creed, which is 14th fastest at the moment, and one of the fastest bronze drivers, second fastest bronze driver at the moment, Erwin Creed. Fastest bronze driver is Eric Truley in the number 9 Graf car. CD Sports line astern, the number 4 car. There's race winners last time out. Louis and Maxence Maurice, the lad and dad combination, joined by Christophe Carrière. And the number 4 car at the moment being driven by Christophe Carrière, one of their 2 bronze drivers, but overall winners for the first time this season. Last time out in Magny-Cours, inheriting the win, or inheriting the lead, I should say, after their sister number 5 car ran out of fuel. Or just saw one of the MV2S cars going a little wide and onto the painted runoff area at the final corner. So 2 seconds left on the clock then, and checkered flag is now out, and it should be the MV2S car just in front of Christophe Carrière that's the first to meet it. And so Pedro Perino should end up fastest with a 2:15.989. And he's pulled that car into pit lane, so he won't be setting any faster times, that's for sure. Eric Truley, meanwhile, has jumped up to fastest in MPO2. The bronze-rated driver in the number 9 Graf car has jumped up to the 4th fastest and fastest of the MPO2 runners. And so that's very, very impressive run there, as Quentin Antonell and Thomas Imborg, the previous fastest 2 in the session in that class, have dropped down. So incredible stuff from Eric Truley there. 2:17.1 for him. George King's just had a lap time deleted for using the escape road at the Mistral chicane. That would have been an improvement anyway. He remains 4th fastest of the MPO2 runners. So we just got a glimpse there of John Corbett, so 17th fastest in this session. Championship contender, of course, 2nd in MPO2. So now we're going to get the driver switch down at Team Virage. So Marius Fossard vacating the number 42 machine. it will either be Paris Strafakis or Hayden Chance who gets in next. And by the looks of it, it's Hayden Chance. But we'll wait to get confirmation of that on timing and scoring. So cars still making their way back into pit lane. So at the end of that session then, it was Pedro Perino fastest for Inter-Europol competition, ahead of Marius Fossard and Daniel Macier, the two Team Virage teammates. They were the top 3 overall, and in LMP3. In MPO2, it was Eric Trulé for the number 9 Graf Racing team, Quentin Antonell in the 777 from Lamo, and then CD Sports, Thomas Imborg in 3rd position in MPO2. Axel Noss, 9th fastest in the end, 4th fastest of the LMP3 runners in the championship leading car from Team Virage. And the other championship contender, John Corbett, 17th fastest, as we saw there. There's Pedro Perino, pretty happy with the job he's done there in that session, as he should be as well. Fastest of anyone by 0.4 of a second. Of course, the crew that won last time out in Magny-Cours with Dane Aronson and Roman Fav. And it's the same lineup again this weekend. Alexander Bukantsov no longer part of the lineup. And Pedro Perino is technically still in the hunt for the LMP3 championship, but it's a bit of a gap that he has. In fact, it's 20 points back he is from the leading crew of Axel Noss and Georgios Klovos. And so he does have a little bit of work to do and needs quite a bit of luck in order to turn that around. And I think we will hear from Pedro very shortly. Just needs to put the helmet away, and should be hearing from him very shortly. And in fact, look, there he is with Claire Cottingham.
Yeah, alongside me, Pedro. Pedro, really impressive performance out there, fastest by 0.4 of a second. Changing conditions as well, the track's sort of drying a bit, isn't it, out there?
Yeah, it is. When we went out, it was wet, which for me, it's my favorite conditions. But unfortunately, it's getting dry. But we'll see. I think we had a good performance, was a good quali. I mean, the point was to finish in the front and try to create a gap to second. Should have created a bit more, but it's fine.
And of course, the team's coming off a bit of a high from last time out as well. You must be really happy with the performance so far, and then coming into the weekend, I know we're not going to know who's on pole position till the final part of the session, and even probably not till then, unless you can do very fast maths. But you must be pleased with how the season's gone.
Yeah, it's gone pretty well, to be honest. I didn't do one round, unfortunately, because it collided with another race. But has been going pretty well. I think a win is always good, you know, to boost everybody's confidence here. Yeah, so I'm happy. I hope it rains. If it doesn't matter. It's the same. Track is the same for everyone, so we'll see.
Is it a track that you particularly enjoy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I like to be out here. It looks an easy track, but it's not, to be honest.
Okay, and it is catching already. It's catching a few people out, and not just the rain and the slippy parts of the track. I don't think it's going to rain this afternoon, I'm afraid.
We'll see.
Okay, Pedro's doing his rain dance. Okay, good luck for the rest of the qualifying session.
Thank you very much.
Pedro Perino, the man to beat in Q1, but Q2 about to get underway, and cars already getting prepared to head back out there. Seems like the Lamo racing team have got their cars lined up in the fast lane. Getting ready for Q2. So remember, it's the average that determines the grid. And in terms of pole positions, we've seen quite a few for CD Sports, Jonathan Thompson, Thomas Imborg. Of course, all silver pairing there. And there are a few of them out there The number 17 Lamo crew, that's an all-silver lineup for this weekend as well. Who else have we got in terms of all-pro lineups? The Extreme Limit Nova that debuted in Magny-Cours as well. Marc Bonnet and Benjamin Reday is an all-pro lineup, as is the Inter-Europol competition lineup. So Pedro Perino, Dane Aronson and Roman Fav, all silvers there. Who else do we have? Just flicking through. I mean, there are a few all-bronze lineups racing in what's called the ultimate category for all-bronze lineups. But I think that is it in terms of the all-pro lineups, because the DB Autosport pairing of Adrien Bastide and Matthias Besch has been split, as have the father-son pairing of Daniel and Quentin Bassora. So Quentin Bassora in with Adrien Bastide in the number 20, Matthias Besch alongside Daniel Bassora in the number 21. So that's split up an all-pro and an all-bronze lineup there to create two pro-am lineups for DB Autosport, if you like. So ANS Motorsports ready to go for Q2. See the number 70 and the 73. So the 70 is the lad and dad combination of Jean-Francois Alexandre and Adrien Yvon that debuted last time out in Magny-Cours. And 73 should now have Mathis Jalbert on board that car. So the, oh, apologies, it was the 72 there, but I brought up Mathis Jalbert now, so I'm going to talk about him. The driver who's finished sort of runner-up to Alessandro Guiretti in both Carrera Cup France and Carrera Cup Asia this year, but that is no mean feat. Of course, former Caterham France champion as well, making his prototype debut, as far as I can tell, the 19-year-old from Provence. As we have the fast lane open, you see the queue of cars that is very eager to get going, with the sun now shining in Le Castellet. It's even breaking into the commentary box a little bit. And we should have the green light for Q2 very, very shortly. And so it's the T2 Racing Duqueine that has won the race to the end of pit lane. So it should either be Dominic Schrammel or Felix Neuhofer in that car, I would have thought. Need to double check actually, because I didn't have written down the driver grading for Felix Neuhofer in 68. He is a silver, so it's two silvers aboard that car with Dominic Schrammel. We do have the green flag out now, so you can see still plenty of spray out there, and actually this sunlight reflecting off of the road is actually going to make visibility quite difficult, I'd have thought. Cool Racing look to be in a bit of a hurry to get out there onto the track as well, and great to have the Cool team back once again with their number 87 car. So David Drew once again on duties with the French outfit. Alongside Adrien Closmenil, who's on double duty this weekend in Ultimate Formula Cup with the Winfield team, and Quentin Joseph, who made his debut in Mugello a couple of months ago, back aboard the car. Of course, David Drew, Le Mans Cup champion, with the Cool Racing outfit, alongside Adrian Schiller. Plenty of Le Mans Cup champions as well, because we haven't yet congratulated Michael Jensen and Nick Adcock on their LMP3 championship in the European Le Mans Series, alongside Gaël Julien. They're, of course, back racing the number 3 CD Sports car, and Gaël Julien, as we mentioned, part of Graf's lineup for the weekend in number 9. It's currently Luis San Juan driving that number 9 car, the red-trimmed car. And Michael Jensen also out in the number 3 CD Sports car, alongside Maxence Maurice And Thomas Inborg line up for CD Sport there. James Winslow now aboard the number 7 Graf car. Loris Kybers in number 8, Luis San Juan in 9, Ralph Kelleners in 10, Nico Prost in the number 12 CMR Ginetta. They were hoping to have Fabien Michal back with them for the weekend, but still just Nico Prost and Gwen Delamere. Francesco Simonazzi now out there in the TS Course Duqueine, so getting his first laps of the weekend after not being able to take part in practice, having sat some exams. The Euroformula Open Championship racer, finished second in the standings this year, did young Francesco. There he was, just going through picture to A&S cars, Linus Stern on the road there as well, as our MV2S. And so, yeah, lots of sun being reflected off of the road, and still quite a bit of spray coming up off of the Michelin tyres. Of course, next year, plenty of changes coming for the European Endurance Prototype Cup, with the switch over to Goodyear rubber. Side by side in the middle of the hotel chicane, already squabbling for track position. Yep, a change of tyre supplier for next year, and of course we will exclusively be using the Nova MP02 for the European Endurance Prototype Cup, with LMP3 getting its own championship with 255-minute sprint races that will be open to previous generation machinery. Of course, LMP3 getting new cars in ACO competition for next year, but these cars that we're seeing out here on track with the the second generation cars with that fantastic Nissan V8 engine prepared by Orica. Oh, is off the road. Goes that number 87 Cool Racing car. And who is driving 87? It's David Drew, of course, that gold-rated driver at the moment. So he is finding the limits of grip out there. It was a very wide line through the penultimate corner, but obviously squaring it up for Virage Dupont. Again, struggling for traction on the exit of the corner, but now across the line, his first flying lap. 2:17.5, but of course he did run off the road at Le Bousset. So David Drew, the Le Mans Cup champion of 2024, of course trying to make it pole position once again. It was Adrien Closmenil and Cedric Ultramar who secured pole position. Off the road goes the number 68 T2 Racing car. Felix Neuhofer there, the silver-graded driver, just getting it a little bit wrong into the hotel chicane. As far as I can tell, for Neuhofer, this is his prototype debut. Used to racing in Porsches in Carrera Cup and Sports Cup Deutschland, but there you see, just lost it under brakes for the hotel chicane, but has continued on his way. In fact, just making his way into the Mistral chicane now ahead of the TS Course Duqueine. So that means we've got two green Duqueine out there. I was hoping that T2 would be running their more sort of brighter, yellower livery that they have had on their Le Mans Cup car, but yeah, two green Duqueine. That's going to be fun if there's a bit of spray out there and visibility is a little bit low, but you wouldn't tell that we've had a rain shower this morning, looking at it out there right now. The sun is coming through the clouds. There's very little in the way of spray. Simonazzi trying to find his way through on the inside and get himself some clear track, and he has managed to do so. While we were watching that, Matthias Besch has gone fastest, the gold-rated former Rebellion LMP1 racer for DB Autosport has gone fastest by 0.4 of a second to Romain Favre, and so that Inter-Europol competition car still fastest of the LMP3 runners as it was overall. See 3 Ferrari cars lying astern here. Hope the photographers are ready to get that shot, because that's one for the social media. Paul Trajani in number 72. Well, actually, it's all changed now. So A&S have suddenly gone second and third. Aiko Segret in 71 and Paul Trajani in 72. Now second and third. And Aiko Segret only 0.06 of a second away from a tyre special on that previous lap. 2:16.3. Romain Favre, fastest of the LMP3 runners for Inter-Europol competition. Then it's David Drew and Sasha Lehmann. So Inter-Europol, Cool Racing and Team Virage. See the 42 car, it's the additional car for Team Virage this weekend. And it is Hayden Chance putting his first laps of the session on board at the moment, just struggling with the back end a little bit. The reigning Ligier European Series champion, he was competing in the JSP4 with the Virage team, and so got the call up to make his LMP3 debut this weekend in anticipation of a move potentially into LMP3 competition for next year. Of course, we've just been talking about new cars for LMP3. Oh, why would you bother doing laps in the old car then? Well, the chassis is very much the same. It's the only changes to LMP3 next year in ACO competition are to accommodate the new twin turbo engine, and so it's all about aerodynamics and cooling basically. The chassis is in essence the same, so you can still have your JSP 320 for example and get an upgrade kit to a 324 or 325 I should say. And so these laps for Hayden Chance will still be very, very important in terms of preparing him for a full-time LMP3 campaign next year. So into the final 6 minutes now of this session. Still Matthias Besch from Aiko Segret, but James Winslow has now thrown his hat into the ring for Graf Racing and gone third fastest and only 0.3 of a second away from Besch's benchmark time. The 51 Racing Spirit of Le Mans car just coming across the line there. Nicolas Morlini is currently 9th fastest. Morlini still in the MPO2 championship as well mathematically, but it is 19.5 points he lacks behind Luis San Juan and Eric Trulé. So he, like Pedro Perino, needs to hope for a little bit of a miracle in order to usurp the two cars in front of him. So it seems like Morlini, the reigning champion, of course, alongside Jacques Wolf, will become the outgoing champion. It's surprising. They have had a couple of podium finishes this year, but don't seem to be anywhere near as strong a campaign as 2023. It does just seem like the spray is limited now to the fastest point on the racetrack down the Mistral. But here is 88, Raphael Narak, son of Raymond Narak. Looked like he was circulating a little bit slowly actually in the 88 car. That's second in the LMP3 championship standings. Of course, that 88 crew was victorious here at the start of the year, and yeah, that 88 car is going very, very slowly indeed around the end of this lap. So it was that Daniel Messier, Rafael Narak and Jacek Zielonka, their bronze driver, and they were victorious in the 4 hours of Paul Ricard in LMP3 at the start of the year. Well, Narak's not going for pit lane, so he's clearly happy to continue out there, maybe just a cool-down lap for the 19-year-old from Normandy. Of course, racing in his blood, with Raymond being a Le Mans class winner, Le Mans Series champion, and a French GT champion as well. So just in front of David Drew on the racetrack at the moment. Nicolas Prost, meanwhile, has just gone fastest of anybody in the first sector in the CMR Ginetta. Of course, final opportunity really to develop that Ginetta platform ahead of the debut of next-gen machinery in 2025. Prost currently at 14th fastest and 4th of the LMP3 runners. Less than 3 minutes left on the clock in this session, and it's funny, the track seems to be drying, but we haven't been able to usurp Pedro Perino's 2:15.9 from the previous session. And it's still just those 0.06 of a second that separate Matthias Besch and Aiko Segret. Getting a bit close into the hotel chicane here between the 555 Kogumo car and the Reiter Engineering. So Dennis Callon getting rather close to Nicolas Chartier on the inside going into the hotel chicane. This lap from Nico Prost has fallen away a little bit. Wasn't a personal best. In fact, it was about 2 seconds slower in the middle sector for Nico Prost. So fastest in the first sector, but this one hasn't gone away. I almost wonder if he ran, because he's about a second quicker than anyone else in the first sector. I almost wonder if he went deep into the hotel chicane where the timing line is for the first sector split and ended up running off the road, and that's why it's quite a bit slower, because obviously you trip the beam when you're carrying quite a bit more speed when you outbrake yourself into that chicane. So James Winslow now fastest though, 2:16.0. He's gone 0.3 quicker than Matthias Besch. So the man second in the MPO2 Championship, now fastest overall by 0.3 of a second to Matthias Besch and Aiko Segret. So it's Graf Racing, DB Autosport, ANS and MV2S, and that MV2S now to the top, 2:15.8 for Tim Mario in the 28 car. So it's all happening in the closing stages of this Q2 session, and that is the fastest time we have seen in qualifying, a 10th quicker than what Pedro Perino managed to do in Q1. And Tim Mario, the former Alpine Elf Cup racer, completing his first year in prototypes with the MV2S Racing crew, sharing that car with Felipe Simodomo. But yellow flags are out at turn number 1, and this could scupper anybody's late chances here to try and put in another time. Well, the green flags are now flying, so they're quickly rescinded. So it's Pierre-Alexandre Provost in the second of the MV2S Racing cars has also gone third fastest as well. So the two MV2S cars absolutely flying in the closing stages of this Q2 session as the checkered flag comes out. Also in his first year of prototype racing is Pierre-Alexandre Provost. Problems though for Luis San Juan in the number 9 Graf Racing car, the championship leading car from Graf Racing that has had a spin at the hotel chicane. So that's not why the yellows were out at turn 1. I don't think we saw why that was the case, but the Spaniard currently 21st in this session. Now here we're going to see it again, what happened to San Juan, just losing the back end on the way in, and right in front of the T2 Racing car, Felix Neuhofer as well. Now, why is that car suddenly going off the road? Didn't quite see who it was, cutting the inside of the turns 5 and 6 complex. Didn't quite make out who that was, but the Blue Novas, but yeah, couldn't make sense of the number on that one. But nonetheless, checkered flag is out, and Tim Merrio sets the fastest time of qualifying with a 2:15.878, so just over a 10th of a second quicker than what Pedro Perino managed to do in Q1. So it's oh no, right at the last gasp effort there, Matthias Besch takes it back from Tim Merriot there. So the gold-rated driver for DB Autosport, or DB Autosport I should say, by 25 thousandths of a second, manages to pip the young Frenchman and take back the fastest time in Q2. So it's a 2:15.853 for Matthias Besch in the number 21 car that he has shared with both the Bassoras and with Adrien Bastide, but now sharing the number 21 just with Daniel Bassora. We'll be back aboard for Q3. So Matthias Besch by 25 thousandths of a second to Tim Merriot for MV2S Racing. James Winslow third for Graf Racing by less than 0.2 of a second. Pierre-Alexandre Provost also for MV2S. Fourth fastest. We did see the Novas really came through in this session, because the fastest LMP3 car, Romain Favre, again for Inter-Europol competition, was only 9th overall, and Francesco Simonazzi only a 1/10 of a second or so away from Romain Favre in his first laps of the weekend for TS Corsa. And so that's a really cracking effort from Francesco Simonazzi. Bearing in mind the conditions as well. Third fastest in LMP3 was David Drew for Cool Racing. And of our championship contenders, Sasha Lehmann, fifth fastest in LMP3, Rafael Narak in 88, seventh fastest in class. And Luis San Juan ended up, that's it, all the way down, 22nd overall. So it is just one session remaining to determine the order for the championship finale, where we will decide the LMP3 and MPO2 Drivers' Championship for 2024. See the driver change as Rafael Narak vacates the 88 car. Jacek Zielonka getting aboard now. And yeah, a point I was making about that 88 car is that it's had 3 drivers with prototype or LMP3 rookies, so to speak. So Zielonka was a radical racer, but first year in LMP3, and has been backing that up with some appearances in the European Le Mans Series as well. But it's Georgios Kolovos also racing in the ACO paddock in the sister number 1 car that currently leads the championship alongside Axel Noss. So Sasha Lehmann wasn't with the team for the Paul Ricard opener, and so that does mean that he has a different points tally, and I am a stickler for that kind of thing. Let's hear from another one of our championship contenders, though. Claire Cottingham is with James Winslow.
Championship contender indeed, and that was a fast lap out there. Got pipped just at the end, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I got pipped by Matthias Besch right at the end there, so to get pipped by Besch is no disgrace. He's a great driver, and yeah, it was nice to be in the battle for pole position coming into the championship deciding round. We've had a tricky test day yesterday. The car is there or thereabouts in the dry, but not as quick as we would like it to be. Not quite as quick as we were here at the start of the year or in Mugello when we were pretty dominant. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite an exciting end to the championship. But yeah, pretty happy with my wet weather lap there.
I was going to say, it's still wet out there, isn't it? What was your lap like, the fastest one?
It's really greasy. It's not actually like fully wet. So it's, do you take the wet line, do you take the dry line, or do you do something in between? And each corner is slightly different. So very tricky to get the tyre pressures right, because a wet tyre is obviously made for the wet. Now the sun's out, ambient temperatures come up to 15 or 16 degrees, but the track is greasy and damp. So hard job for the drivers, hard job for the engineers, and we kind of got it 80% right.
We love to throw everything at you at Ultimate Cup, don't we? We've had storms in Italy. We've had we've had every single type of weather that you can have, and now having to qualify in again changing conditions. We like to throw it at you.
It's been the toughest season ever. I do multiple championships and it's rained at every single event I've been at this year, even Asian Le Mans Series, when we're supposed to be racing in the desert. So it's been very tricky. Yeah, we race at night, we race in the night whilst wet. So it's very hard to see where the water is and where the dry patches are. So the weather forecast so far looks like it's going to be okay for tonight's race. But as we've learned this year, you can never believe that, and you have to be ready for every eventuality.
Not just that, but the temperature drops quite a lot here. Is that a factor to take in?
Yeah, massively, yeah, for the tyre pressure, because the tyre is either switched on or switched off. It's either hot and performing at its 60, 70, 80 degree where it's designed to work at, or it's below that and not working, and you're hemorrhaging seconds, or it goes slightly over and you lose, some lap time. But over a 4-hour race, so for the engineers at Paul Ricard and Le Mans, for me, is the hardest track to get the tyre pressures right, especially over a long race, especially with two different drivers. One driver uses the tyre maybe more than the other, the Pro versus the Am. So different tyre pressures for different drivers, tyre warmers, and then a safety car comes out and we drop right down to tyre pressure and a temperature that the tyre has never run at all week because they're always in the warmers. And then you have to bring that pressure back up to its working window. So yeah, there's a lot goes into it, and you need some good guys behind you to do well in these races.
No, exactly. Championship battle is still on. You guys are in contention. Bit of an outside maybe chance for you. How are you feeling going into the race?
We've kind of put that to the side now. I think when you're leading the championship, all the pressure's on you. So now we're second, we're 6 points behind. If we win, they come second, we win the championship. But there's so many good drivers here and so many good teams, and we've won 2 races already this year. We've had our fair share of wins. There's Le Mans winning drivers here, like Matthias Besch, and very high Alain Prost's son here racing, for example. So there's a high standard of drivers. So to be honest, I'm going to 100% forget about the championship and just try and get the best race result we can in a safe way.
Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
James Winslow, long-time championship leader in MP2, I think since Hockenheim. They took the lead away from the number 9 crew. But great to hear from James going into fantastic detail about the difficulties out there on the racetrack. But that's just the kind of thing you expect to hear from James. Of course, very used to communicating that sort of information is his job as a driver coach. He's got many, many drivers out here with a JWR sticker on the car. But as you can see, a queue at the end of pit lane, although CMR deciding, we won't wait in the queue. We'll go when we're ready to go, as we have the green light shortly to start the final qualifying session. There it is. Q3 underway. A last 15-minute session to set the grid for this evening's 4 hours of Paul Ricard. And it will be largely a night race, hopefully a drier one than what we had in Manicourt. So Cool Racing was again looking to try and beat the cars out of pit lane. And it is now Adrien Closmenil at the wheel of the car. Now, he took pole position in the Ultimate Formula Cup yesterday for Winfield Racing. Sure he'd like to make it back-to-back. Maybe go fastest in this session as well. Robert Visoyu is about to do his first qualifying session in 7 years. So I caught up with Robert, the Romanian, 28 years old now, so quite a bit older than when he left the Formula 2 paddock in 2017, but has only done a couple of days of radical testing, basically, since then. And so he's about to do his first qualifying session in 7 years, and apparently called up his manager, Horia Totu is his manager, called him up 2 weeks ago and said, I'm going mad. I need to find a seat somewhere. What can I race? And, well, found a spot for him here in the European Endurance Prototype Cup. And maybe this is an indication of Robert's future plans to return to racing. Of course, we'd dearly love to have him full-time here next year. It would be absolutely marvellous. But either way, great to see Robert back racing again, as we have a flurry of cars making their way through Le Bousset, a couple of them going off, in fact. So that was the 71 and the 72 cars from ANS, who just got it a little bit wrong. So Marc Fagianato and Mathis Poulet, bronze and silver rated drivers respectively, right in front of Gaël Julien, in fact, as well, the number 9 Graf car. And so Gaël Julien about to do his first qualifying in a Nova, having raced LMP3 this year in the European Le Mans Series. For the last couple of years, in fact. It was 2023 he made the switch over from single-seaters. I get the feeling someone at Writer Engineering is about to move over and try and block our view of the onboard cameras. Their teams don't particularly like us spying into the garage. So you see Gaël Julien there already tried to make up some ground and find himself some clear space. So that was Jacques Wolf in the Racing Spirit of Le Mans car that he's just gone by. Oh, again, a little bit of hip and shoulder from Marc Fagianato in the 71 ANS car, this time through the hotel chicane. But it's Johan Russell in the Kogamo car, the 154 machine, fastest in the first sector on this round of laps so far. And the one with the clear air is Quentin Bassora there. You see there in the number 20 DB Autosport car. Quentin, the son of Daniel, who was initially an engineer for the team. Started competing in CN category in 2017 and was now racing the Nova. John Corbett back aboard the number 7 Graf Racing Nova in championship contention. So he's got quite a bit of clear space, as does Frederic Croulet there for ANS, and the number 1 Team Virage car of, that should be Georgios Kolovos. Now driving the number 1. In fact, it is. And so these are some of the last cars to come across the line. Only Jacek Zielonka is behind him on the racetrack. And Robert Vissoyu immediately setting the fastest time of qualifying. Problems, though, for the number 42 Team Virage car at Le Bousset. So that should be Paris Strafakidis. So Team Virage have got all 3 of their bronze drivers in for this session. Oh, that's an off there for the DB Autosport car as well on the exit of turn number 12, the Ben d'Or curve. Couldn't quite see which one it was. Well, we're going to see what's happened at Le Bousset, because, whoa! Paris Strafakidis just arrived absolutely out of control and backwards onto the scene. Wow, a dramatic moment for the Greek driver, but does seem to have continued on his way. So as I was saying, Robert Vissoyu has immediately gone fastest and done the fastest time of qualifying for TS course, 2:14.793 from the Romanian. And yeah, great job at that. That's his first qualifying lap he's done in 7 years. Gaël Julien, unsurprisingly, going up towards the top of the times. Fastest of the MPO2 runners, 2nd overall. And Adrian Klosminil, 3rd for Cool Racing as well. So unsurprising to see these names heading straight up to the head of the field. Oh, more dramas at Le Bousset for Team Virage. This time for Jacek Zielonka in the number 88 car, 2nd in the LMP3 championship. So, not sure if there's something particular catching out these drivers. It might just be a coincidence that it's 2 Virage cars that have ended up in the runoff area. And it looks like it's just going to be a very similar incident, although didn't seem to be arriving with quite as much speed as his teammate. And didn't quite make it as far into the runoff area, but still an impressive run nonetheless. But he's also continued on his way. He's about to meet yellow flags at turn 2, though. So why is that the case? We're not going to see it now because green flags are now waving out there. Maybe if there's some sort of indication. No, nothing out there. So Jacek Zielonka continuing on his way as Gaël Julien now sets the fastest time at 2:13.8. Now he's just got 9/10 of a second quicker than Robert Vissoyou. So fastest overall now, as well as fastest of the MPO2 runners. Adrian Klosmanil has brought the Cool Racing car into pit lane, which is not a particularly good sign, as usually if you pull into pit lane, you're not actually allowed to rejoin the session. I have to double check the rule book on that one. Yeah, any car returning to the box will have times cancelled and take no further part in the session. And so, well, I say that, Klosmanil has rejoined the pit lane. So maybe that is just going back into the garage. It's the problem with translated regulations. They are a little bit open to interpretation. But, well, we'll see about that, because Klosmanil brought the Cool Racing car into pit lane. Not sure why. As fastest in the first sector is Nico Ferrarin in the number 17 Lamo Racing Nova. Car shares with Sasha Klavodetcha and Danny Bunchu. So all silver lineup in the number 17. But again, the second sector not really going their way. 72 just been off there at Mathis Poulet, once again getting it a little bit wrong in Le Bousset. Into the pits comes Gaël Julien. So man fastest in this session at the moment, and he's into the pit lane. Graf Racing, the first garage out there, so he hasn't got long before he has to peel right. So Johan Russell goes second fastest for Kogamo Racing in the 154 car, with 2 purple sectors in the first and third sector. So the former rally driver, WRC3 champion and Monte Carlo rally winner, has just gone second fastest, with Robert Vissoyou now setting a purple sector in the first part of the lap. So the track's really coming alive out there, with the grip starting to be found. Vissoyou still fastest of the LMP3 runners, ahead of Klosmanil and Gwen Delamere in the CMR Ginetta. So it's Duqueine, Ligier, Ginetta in LMP3 at the moment. Less than 5 minutes on the clock now, and Johan Russell continuing to find time in the first sector. He's lowered the benchmark once again in the 154 car from Kogamo. Car he shares with Jesse Bouhet and Marlon Hernandez, silver-rated driver. And here he is, heading through Le Bousset, second fastest at the moment. Is the former rally driver. 0.6 of a second to find to Gaël Julien, who has rejoined the racetrack after a quick stop in the box at Graf. It's a personal best in the middle sector as well for Russell. Robert Vissoyou's also doing good time. In fact, he's faster in the middle sector than Russell. But Russell was faster in the first sector. As Vissoyou goes second fastest on a 2:14.2, but here comes Johan Russell to try and take that back, although he might have just caught traffic at exactly the wrong time, and in fact he did improve, but marginally by a few thousandths, so a 2:15.5 in the end for Johan Russell, and he stays third fastest. So John Corbett is currently fifth fastest overall for Graf Racing, currently fastest of the bronze drivers out there. So great effort from the Australian. Who's setting lap times at the moment. Gwen Dalamir's done 2 personal bests in the first 2 sectors on this lap so far in the CMR Ginetta. He's currently third fastest of the LMP3 runners. There's that into Europole competition car, which is Dane Aronson. Well, yellow flags at turn number 12. So the bend door curve once again, but they are very quickly rescinded. Fastest middle sector now being set by Robert Vissoyou. He's continuing to find time out there. He's just 0.4 of a second away from Gaël Julien's time, who hasn't quite got back onto the pace just yet. After rejoining the racetrack, where it's only it's less than 2 minutes left in the session. Gaël Julien now setting the fastest time in the first sector. So straight back out onto the racetrack and straight away setting the purple times, so that and Vissoyou goes fastest, 2:13.6 with a purple middle sector and 2 personal bests in the first and third sectors. So Robert Vissoyou, fastest of the LMP3 runners, and Johan Russell now goes second, 94 thousandths of a second away from Robert Vissoyou, and best of the MPO2 runners. So now is the time for Gaël Julien to try and lower that benchmark once again. It's not a personal best in the middle sector, though. In fact, it's about 0.6 slower than what Robert Vissoyou managed to do. And I doubt he won't get across the timing line in time for another effort. So this is the last gasp chance now for Gaël Julien. So Vissoyou, again, personal best, but now purple from Johan Russell. So this is turning into a great little scrap between Duqueine, TS Corsa, Kokomo and Graf Racing for the fastest time in this session. So Reiter Engineering goes up at the timing line. Contact at turn 12 has been noted between Dane Aronson and Gaël Julien. I wonder if that's why he lost time. Interesting. Well, that's been noted, and it's going to be looked at after the session, I'm sure. As Gaël Julien takes back the fastest time by half a second now, so 2:13.0 for the Graf Racing driver. Born in Jakarta, but raised in France, races with a French license. And here he is, fastest in Q3 as it stands. What are we going to see here? Whoa, big lockup for Adrien Closmanil. Double front lockup by the looks of it. Very, very interesting indeed. Still second fastest is the Frenchman for Cool Racing in LMP3. But, wow, that was, yeah, a bit of a dramatic moment for him. And again locking up, going into the Mistral chicane there. I wonder what is going on with the brakes on that Cool Racing Ligier. Hopefully that's not something that's going to impact them in the race as well. But no doubting who's fastest. Gaël Julien, Robert Vissoyou fastest. His first qualifying session in 7 years, and he's fastest of the LMP3 runners. That's an incredible effort. Johan Russell, third fastest and second of the MPO2 runners for Kokomo. Adrien Closmanil second in LMP3 for Cool Racing. Oh, Pierre Caffer with a last gasp effort out of nowhere for Racing Spirit of Le Mans. Suddenly goes third fastest in his Ligier. That was a great effort there. The gold-rated German driver, LMP2 race winner in the World Endurance Championship. So it's Gare Julien, Robert Visseux, and Pierre Caffer, the top 3 overall. And then LMP3, top 3 completed by Adrien Closmenil with the Johan Roussel and Sebastian Morales in the sister Kogumo car, leaving it very late to get his best effort in there as well. The team boss at Kogumo, a bronze-rated driver, and yeah, best of the bronze drivers. Oh, hang on a second. Adrien Closmenil has just done a 2:12. Now, I cannot. How has he done that? We saw him locking up left, right, and centre, and suddenly Adrien Closmenil has just gone fastest of everyone by half a second. I do wonder if that was a legal lap, because there was no indication at all that was going to be the lap. For now, it's on timing and scoring, but wow. Okay, so Adrien Closmenil, Gare Julien, Robert Visseux. Top 3 in Q3. So Closmenil with that absolute last gasp effort. And for the second time this weekend, tops a qualifying session. Starting on pole position for the Ultimate Formula Cup for Winfield. Fastest in Q3 as well for now. So LMP3, it's Adrien Closmenil, Cool Racing, Robert Visseux, TS Course, Duqueine, and Pierre Caffer for Racing Spirit of Le Mans. That car right there. And then MPO2, Gare Julien, Johan Roussel, and Sebastian Morales. So Graf from Kogumo and Kogumo. Again, checking in with the championship leaders, because so Gare Julien we know in the number 9 car. John Corbett was 7th fastest, but I think 3rd of the bronze-rated drivers. Louis Rossi was 12th fastest in that number 39 car on his return to the championship. Georgios Kolovos 17th in the Team Virage car. And where was Jacek Zielonka in 88, 27th. But of course, bronze drivers sitting in quite a few, behind quite a few of the silver drivers. So Adrien Closmenil not heading back to his garage. He's been indicated back towards somewhere in the paddock, the refueling area maybe. I'm not quite sure where they've asked him to go, but it's not to his garage, which is interesting. So I think that means we're not going to be able to hear from Adrien Closmenil. But nonetheless, fastest in Q3 for the Cool Racing driver. And it is qualifying and race on the same day once again in the European Endurance Prototype Cup. It'll be lights out at 5:45 today for the final 4-hour encounter, where we will determine the LMP3 and MPO2 drivers' titles.
Être un bon traiteur, c'est être intransigeant sur la qualité. On ne fait du bon qu'avec le meilleur. C'est être impitoyable sur les recettes. Quand c'est bon, il n'y a rien à ajouter, rien à enlever. C'est être irréprochable sur le goût. Il faut prendre du plaisir pour en donner. Voilà, pour être un bon traiteur, il faut être intraitable.
Parfaitement intraitable.